Hey guys, so lately I had a lot of people asking me, oh, you switched, so now you're gonna have to switch your Jiang or your Chi, or they're just asking, oh, so what's the best Chi for Dragon Warrior, or what's the best Jiang for Dragon Warrior, or Pirates, or Monk or random classes. Um, and it turns out that a lot of people don't know the basics of the attack stats and defense stats. These ones, critical, break, counter, and immune. Um, so I'm gonna talk about that and clarify some things. I'm not gonna talk about towers and skill, critical strike, and all that crap because I never played Tau. I know if there's a lot of builds and whatever. I don't know any of them. Tau's just never got some love for me. I'm not a Tau person. Yeah. It doesn't mean they suck or anything. I'm just myself. I'm just not a Tau person. So yeah. All right. So we're gonna start with the attack. Attack stats. You have break, which is breakthrough, and you have critical strike, which is crit. And before you decide what stats you want to go for, you need to ask yourself what kind of BP I'm gonna have, what kind of gears, not class, but the amount of BP and gears I'm gonna have. Because you can go for a king killer build, what they call king killer, whatever, king slayer, whatever they want to call it, which gonna enable you to attack and do a lot of damage on kings and people higher battle power than you. Or you can go the other way and just kill easy. Well, you can hit harder on everyone lower than your BP. So you need to ask yourself, what's your BP gonna be? Are you gonna fight more people with higher battle power, or you're gonna fight more people with lower BP? And that's basically what's important. You want to fight kings, you want to fight dukes, princes, whatever, plus 12 people, or you think you're gonna fight more people with less BP than you're gonna have. So yeah, you need to think really hard because it's gonna affect what stats you get. And I'll tell you what I did before, and it sucks because I had to switch stats. I had to switch. I had something, and then I had to switch all my chi and all my jiang. Well, most of my jiang and most of my chi, which sucked. Took a long ass time, and obviously it was worth it, but it took a long time. So, crit. Crit basically lets you crit, which is doing more damage per hit if you land it on someone. And the counter to it is immune. So if you have higher crit than the other guy's immune, you're gonna have a better chance of critting him and thus making, doing a lot more damage. Okay? But if your crit is lower than his immune, then I don't know if you have no chance or very, very small chance to actually get a crit. So you're not going to do as much damage. But if your BP is lower than the other guy you're attacking, it doesn't matter how much crit you have. It doesn't matter if you even have immunity. Even if he doesn't have immunity and you have 300 crit, your damage is going to be lower because you're much lower because your BP is lower than his. Okay? So you can have very high critical, but if you have very low BP, anyone higher than you, you're not going to do that much damage. Okay. But let's go to break. Now, break is interesting because what breaks mean, it means that when you break someone, it means you're doing damage to them regardless of their BP over you. It means that you can be 50 BP lower than the other guy, but if you have a lot of break and he has no counter action or anti-break, then you're going to do a lot of damage to him. Okay? But it means that, if you have break and not crit, it means everyone, your BP and lower, you're going to do not as much damage as you could have done with crit. You're still going to do a lot of damage, but not as much as you would with crit. So, yeah. And you have counter action, which counters break, and you have immune that counters crit. So how do they all fit together, right? Because you can't just take all of them. You can't just up all of them together. You're not going to get much anyway. So you have to choose one attack and one defense stat. I took critical strike and counter. Right now I'm using alt gears. Let me just switch so we can see the real stats. Alright, so I have 194.9 crit and 205 counter. Which means, with the crit, I hit a lot more damage to everyone my BP and lower. And with the counter, anyone lower than my BP that still have break, but not higher break or almost the same break, will have a difficult time breaking me, which means they're not going to do as much damage as they wanted to with the break. So my build is not a King Slayer. Anyone above my BP, I don't do any damage to him at all, almost no damage. That's my build. I like it. That's my playstyle. Before, when I was an archer and I was at around 340 BP, I had like 230 something break and 170 immune, and that was doing a lot more damage to higher BPs than me. Two-shotting them, three-shotting them, depending on the king or the prince or whatever. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna go higher BP, so I'm gonna switch. So I switched to critical, and I switched to counter because I deal with a lot more people that are lower BP than me than I deal with people with higher BP. So that's why I did that. And it was a bitch to change all these 4 stats. But I think I got it pretty good now. Took a while, but I got it up pretty nicely. Right, so what about you people? What does that mean to you? What does this video means to you? It means to you that you can decide, listen, I'm 340 BP archer, or whatever, Trojan, ninja, and usually every day I fight people higher BP than me. Then I would tell you, if you fight people higher than your BP, then add more break. Add as much break as you possibly can. And add immunity. Because higher people than you don't need to break you. They're already higher than your BP. They need to crit you to do the high amount of damage. So if you add immune, then they will not crit you. So you will break them, but they will not crit you. So that's basically a King Slayer build. Is high, insanely high break, and as high as you can immune. Now, I know another thing is not choosing a defense stat, which means going for break and crit. It's usually archers who do that. It's very glass cannony. Yeah, you do a lot of damage, but if you get hit, you just die almost instantly. So yeah, It's a very glass candy. Most archers do it. Not most, but a lot of archers, because they're mostly at the low mid BP range. So for them it's hit now or die anyway. So they prefer to do the glass cannon and just deal as much damage, and hopefully the other guy will die before they can actually land a hit. It works for some people with low ping and whatever. It works. It's not bad if you can actually avoid everyone else's attacks. So yeah, and the thing is, it doesn't matter what class you play. If you want to make an attacker, then it depends on your BP and what BP you think you're gonna get. Then you decide what stats to get. If you want to kill kings or attack kings or attack anyone higher than your BP, depending on what BP you got, then you might as well go immune and break. If you are pretty high BP and you don't really fight people at your BP or higher, then you take counter and strike, because you're dealing with people mostly lower your BP. So you want to crit them, and you want them not to be able to break you and do more damage on you because they're low BP. Sorry, not level, low BP. You don't want them to use that, so you get counter. Which means I do a lot of damage on everyone lower my BP, but anyone higher, I'm screwed basically. So yeah, that's basically it. So guys, just sit with yourselves, think what BP I'm gonna get, with what kind of people do I fight every day usually. Are they high BP? Are they lower BP than me? And that's how you decide for what stat to go. If you just say to what, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna be a prince. Maybe not now, but I'll be a prince in a couple of months, or that's my goal. I want to be a prince. Then I'd suggest go crit. Or you can actually go break as well and try and fight the other kings, but I would suggest immune regardless. Get immune, and crit or break, that's up to you, unless you want to be a king, and then you have to not have to, but you should take immune and crit. If your BP is 340 or under, even 50 or under, then I'd suggest immune and break, or counter and break. Different people do different styles, and it's not like one build is good for everyone. People change builds. People use different builds for the same, almost the same character, almost same stats, but different builds. Instead of crit, he went break, or instead of immune, he went counter. But you think with yourselves what is going to be the best for your playstyle, for the game you're playing. And just asking random people, what's the best build for me? It's not going to help you at all, because no one can actually tell you what to do. So I suggest just sit and think, who am I dealing with every day? Higher BP people, lower BP people. What stats I need to get to make my character better. Alright, so I'm gonna finish it here. I hope this helps anyone in any way. If you got any questions, not regarding a Tau, because I don't know, I don't want to start speculating. Anything that isn't a Tau or Tau stats, I'm willing to answer. You can put it in the comments, or you can go in game and ask me, in game. Most likely, if you actually write a question instead of just spamming me highs or anything, then yeah, I'll answer you. Yeah, so I'll see you next time, guys.